is the prevention, especially school prevention, and at this moment, how to prepare the workforce for prevention using the INEP, the Introduction to Evidence-Based Prevention. And the story about this presentation starts in 2022, when the Charles University, Ukraine University, and Cayetano Heredia University and University Andina of Cusco conducted a study to see the feasibility, the feasibility of implementing the INEP into the prevention system, into the university system. There are two types of results in that project, and the second part, that is the result of the appreciation of about the INEP made by students and teachers of the universities, is going to be in a few weeks. I will present the implementation at the university system. What will we see today? A brief presentation to the INEP online courses. That is something that is very popular, is displayed in many places, in the ICUDDR web page, in the ISO web page, and many other places. And we will look a little bit about the feasibility study in the different university settings and the qualitative results in Peru. And finally, we will see a case study about the implementation of the INEP in the Andine University of Cusco experience. You may have seen this figure in some other place, in which how we reach to the INEP. Years before the 2018, there were two big curriculums, linked curriculums, the Universal Prevention Curriculum and the European Prevention Curriculum, Universal Prevention Curriculum. Both are very complete, but are similar. They are based in the international quality standard for prevention of UNODC and the latest research in the area. And both approach the prevention, the universal prevention, introducing the basis of the prevention science, the physiology and pharmacology of the substance users, monitoring and evaluation, and different ways to approach prevention in different settings, macro and micro environment settings. This is one of the most important pieces of for the prevention in the story of the prevention, let me say that, because we could see how to develop strategies, developing also the prevention workforce. However, both curriculums are very extensive in content, are quite difficult to conduct in a very easy way, and in many ways are expensive. Not too much, but they are costly. And there was a lot of people that needed something easier to follow, something lighter than the contents of the UPC. And then in 2018, in Europe, the UPC ADAPT project funded by the European Commission started to develop an adaptation of the Universal Prevention Curriculum to Europe. And after that adaptation, the Charles University conducted a second adaptation, is the Introduction to Evidence-Based Prevention, conducted by the Department of Addictology of the Charles University in Prague. And it landed in a 10-session online course with 14 hours of training, with a certificate or a credentialing of 3 European credits transfer credit hours. of the transfer system. That was really great. Is a milestone in this story. And this product went in two directions, one in ISUP and the other for the ICUDDR. What is the characteristic of this first INEP? It was self-conducted without any other help. However, the evaluations were showing that people that was self-conducting the INEP needed some kind of help or a trainer in special moments. So INEP Plus is the INEP with a trainer for special moments. Let's say in a way of a flipped classroom in which the students learn before the session the contents of the training and discuss some points with the trainer. So with that thing in mind, started the Charles University started the development of the INEP Plus. And it was really pretty well accepted and was put in place also in ICUDDR and ISUP. In 2022, ICUDDR asked the Charles University, the Taras Shevchenko University of Ukraine, the Cayetano Heredia University, to conduct a study to see what is the assessment of teachers about the teaching methods, university environment, with pre-post tests for students, users, and feedback about the use of INEP Plus. This was a research in which the three universities, the Charles University, Taras Shevchenko, and Cayetano Heredia participated. And because the Andine University of Cusco was the host of the ICUDDR meeting in 2019, I was asked to conduct a research based in this university. That was something that was left because the pandemic that we suffered during the 2020 and the next years. In this research, there was also something very specific, exploring the implementation process of the INEP course in the curricula of the selected university departments, just to see how can we translate the INEP to the university environments. With all of these things in mind, we have the adapted INEP Plus, the European Prevention Curriculum, both in English and Spanish, and there was no in Ukraine. So the research conducted also the translation to the Ukrainian and the cultural and local adjustment of INEP in Ukraine and in Cusco with an expert review of the INEP plus a brief pilot study. After we conducted this study, started the dissemination to train the prevention workforce in other universities and countries. By saying the results. That was planned for 2023. The results of this first part, the assessment of teaching methods, university environment, etc., is going to be presented lately by Dr. Roman Gabrielik and Dr. Irina Pinchuk. So I will not present that part. I will invite you to be in that presentation that is going to be really very useful. These are some few pictures of the people that participated in this project. We are in the front of the University Andine of Cusco. In Cusco, Cusco is the capital city of the Inca culture in Peru. You have listened probably about Cusco and Machu Picchu before listening about Peru. So it's a very popular place for tourists. It's a really very nice place to live. So we have a specific training for the trainers to be for the INEP, and I will tell you about this process in this presentation. feasibility study in the different university settings, qualitative results, basis for INEP Plus implementation at the university system. Results. What did the teacher says in the qualitative assessment? University professors found the INEP Plus course satisfactory, citing easy platform access and concise tutorials, some initial technical issues, for example, video logging, that were resolved with assistance. This is something that we are finding in many different courses in which the literacy about platforms and uses of technology are not uniform around the world, within the countries, within some settings. So this assistance for that very basic things was key just to keep going in the course. Seems to be that is a tool that everybody knows, but sometimes this is hidden. What other results we found in this qualitative study with the teachers in Cusco? Teachers generally agreed on clear instructions, functional electronic presentation, and reliable hyperlinks. Also, reading materials needed better regional context for comprehension. That is also a truth that is in front of us because the UPC and the INEP and the INEP Plus are based on the universal prevention curriculum with examples for the whole world without any particular adaptation for a particular setting. So that was something that was asked by the university teacher that participated in this pilot study. So the indication, as we couldn't and we cannot at this moment transform the platform, was to have that kind of information for the presential, for the synchronic presentation that they were going to have with the participants. The university teacher also highlighted the importance of students having proper devices and connectivity and proposed targeting senior students, particularly in health sciences for future courses. Why this? Even as many people have access to computers, most of the people at this moment, many of the people are using personal devices like telephones and similars. And those kind of devices, lack of connectivity, and also some are very short, and it's difficult sometimes to work with it. So they were suggesting to suggest the future users to use of computers. I'm not sure if that is going something that we will be able to do. Why this professor were suggesting also targeting senior students? You may know that in some countries, and also in Peru, the literacy about prevention and prevention science, implementation science, quality standard is quite low. Not many people has been exposed to that thing. And this kind of training was perceived by this teacher that needed some senior students that may have more experience in the area of general prevention, of mental health, prevention of mental illnesses, and in any other areas of the health sciences for future courses in prevention. Lately, we saw that this can be overcome. We have been using some kinds of, some parts of some training similar to INEP with people that was in their first touch with the prevention and had no problem with this. These teachers at the Andean University conducted with a group of students, the training, the accompaniment to the training in the INEP class of these students, graduate students. So these qualitative results are the result regarding the opinion of the graduate students that were accompanied by teachers of the Andean University following the INEP class. What they said: a student prized the instructor's understanding, patient, and flexible communication, including supportive WhatsApp group. They appreciated the course relevance to their psychology studies. Most of these students were linked to the health sciences school in the Andean University. And it's interesting that they really prized the soft skills that had the trainers, the facilitators. That is something that is very important in the online courses. As we know, it's not possible not to use interactive teaching strategies in online courses. So they appreciated that kind of approaches in these instructors. How the instructor had the skills to conduct using interactive teaching strategies. During the first presentation in person in Cusco in 2022, myself and Dr. Azucena Avalos conducted a presentation in a short workshop to present the INEP, and also we trained them in interactive teaching strategies. And this was very appreciated by this participant later in the INEP class. They easily find the relevance of the course's content to their psychology studies. Given that part of them were a student of the psychology of the School of Psychology, some were from medicine, some were for nursery, and others from statistics, applied statistics to health sciences. What more said the students? They found questionnaires motivating, appreciating the course's flexible, self-managed schedule, and praised the multimedia's accessibility on smartphones. This is something contradictory to what the trainers said about themselves. We didn't analyze this linked to the age difference, but the mean age in these participants was about 24, and in the teacher was above 38, and the access to these devices were different. So the appreciation is different, and as I said a few minutes ago, we also didn't find this kind of problem of using smartphones and other small devices, portable devices. What more else the student said? While they faced few technical barriers, the students suggested using regional statistics and translating materials into Spanish to enhance engagement. Translating some materials into Spanish is clear that is a need in any other country that does not use English for their communication. So part of the introductory videos are in English, so they had difficulties to understand that, and they were referring to that kind of material. And also, the students found the same need as the facilitators of using regional statistic for the examples. Okay. What we concluded with this kind of qualitative results, based on the assessment from both groups, it is recommended to establish INEP Plus as a regular university course, as it provides flexibility, relevance, and technical accessibility. Improvements such as incorporating regional context and Spanish material could enhance engagement and effectiveness. So the qualitative part of this part of the project was very supportive of translating the INEP Plus into the university system as a course. So we have a green light to go on. Of course, this is also based in the other part in which there were results regarding the appreciation about different parts of the INEP Plus conducted by the Charles University and the Taras Shevchenko University that will be presented later. So both parts are going in the same direction. I'm just concentrating in the part of how to translate this into the university system. INEP Plus implementation at the Andean University in Cusco. This is something like the Central Park in Cusco. For those that had the opportunity to visit Cusco during the ICUDDR meeting in 2019, hope you will have a good memories with this picture. For those that didn't have that opportunity yet, let me say that this city was built above the city, the capital city of the Inca Empire, in about the 16th century. And this is one of the few capital cities in the region of the Americas, maybe the only one in the Americas, and one of the few in the world that shares two major churches in the same place. This is to understand that the culture in Inca was pretty strong, and the new culture coming from Europe need to disappear, that Inca culture with a very strong presence in the middle of the capital city. But what more else did this years after? Nice mix of cultures. Cusco is close to Machu Picchu and many other Incan cities, and receives visitors from around the world all the year. All the moments of the year, Cusco is crowded with visitors from many parts of the world. And that's one of the factors that made that Cusco was also a special city for substance use, emergent substances that came with the tourists, different cultures, different opportunities, party all the time, etc. So in Cusco, we have a very difficult problem with substance use since I remember. I was born in Cusco. So it was very important to understand this, because when we started the INEP implementation at the Andean Cusco, pardon me, the step for implementation at university level was a presentation of the INEP Plus to the university's higher authorities, the president, the vice president, the heads of the schools, the heads of the department, just to see what is INEP Plus and what is its purpose. What we are inviting the university to include the INEP Plus in their system. What are the benefits for the university? Of course, all the people that work in university needs to have what is going to receive the university in different many ways, not only economic, maybe just having a new course, more publications, whatever. And one of the important things to go through this step of the implementation at the university level was to argue what are the benefits for the community. The advocacy for the prevention INEP and INEP Plus was present at this moment. Why is this important in Cusco? Because as I just said Cusco is a special place with a lot of problems of substance use. And the universities has the area of social responsibility. And they appreciate them as a fourth generation universities conducting academic training, research, model development, and social responsibility activities. So we have to go with all of this information just to present and invite to the higher authorities of the university to implement the INEP Plus at the university. After that was accepted, we had to conduct specific agreements with the academic vice president that is in charge of all the academic life of the university, the dean of the faculty of health sciences, in which are hosted the School of Medicine, Psychology, nursery, obstetrics, dentistry, and is pretty close to the faculty to education and to the faculty of statistics applied to health sciences. And also, we have to conduct some agreements with the heads of the academic departments. This part of bureaucracy issues are really very important to go on just to have a good environment to implement the INEP Plus at the university. The specific task that we conducted after that, after completing this part, was the selection of trainers to be. Yeah, remember that we were training some teachers of the university INEP Plus, but not all of them had the skills for being trainers of the INEP Plus. So we have to conduct a selection of trainers to be. Then conducting a more in-depth training of trainers in facilitation skills, especially interactive teaching skills. And then conduct with the facilitation of Dr. Romal Gabrielik, the INEP course for trainers to see the prevention content training. Not all of them were familiar with the contents of prevention, so it was important that they know the contents of the INEP Plus. The steps for pilot implementation of INEP Plus was an open invitation to students of the university to take the INEP. At that moment, we didn't know if there was going to be a demand for this kind of courses. So it was launched through the institutional mail, some social networks, the invitation, academic social networks, the invitation to participate in this INEP Plus course. And then there was a selection of students and face-to-face and online introduction for the INEP Plus training at the Charles University platform. The platform to be used was the Charles University platform. So they need to be familiarized with that. As I just said minutes ago, there was some kind of illiteracy in the participants. So we need to train that thing just to have a smoother transition into the platform, as smoother entering into the platform of the Charles University. In about 1 week, 100 certified students registered as prospective students. They showed us that there was a level of demand that was really good. Why? Because when we launched this, most of the students were on vacation. And on vacation, they are not following the university mail. They are on vacation. They are enjoying life. But however, we could register 135 participants. 42 of them, 31%, completed the formation for selection. Of them, 12 participated in the face-to-face presentation of the INEP Plus and preparation for entering into the platform of the Charles University. 26, about 62% connected online, and about 9.5% did not show up to the introductory session. So we lost about 10% just beginning the course. Now, adaptation and implementation of the INEP course. We conducted with the teachers of the Andean University an analysis about the contents and sequence of the INEP Plus. You know this, lecture was complementing the introduction, some general introduction, introducing the people to the prevention, substances, epidemiology and problem population, and in the lecture 2, lecture 3, prevention science and evidence-based prevention intervention and policies, and from lecture 4 to lecture 9, family-based, school-based, workplace-based, community-based prevention, environmental prevention, and media-based prevention, and finally, a lecture of monitoring and evaluation. So, this is a very complete approach to give the basis of the prevention science, the implementation science, and the approaches, the basic approaches to different environments, micro and macro environments for conducting prevention, to understand what is prevention in this micro and micro environments. With this in mind, the professor of the Andean University said, we need to put one more course that are research methods. Why? Because as we had the experience with this course, this is a course that may invite many of them to conduct research in the area of prevention. So they said we can link to this to one of our regular courses that are research methods, and we can enter also through that course and go easily to monitoring and evaluation, and then start all the round that the INEP Plus needs to develop. So this was a strategy and adaptation that we discussed. There is no problem on adding up this lecture 11. Is exactly highlighting some of the areas of the monitoring and evaluation, and also strengthening the monitoring and evaluation, and also it was the area in which all the needed statistic and situational analysis about substance use locally could be presented. So this was the only adaptation that was conducted at this moment for the INEP Plus. Then the second suggestion was that each lecture can be conducted like a separate module. Yes, let's think that we are having modules that are in, let's say, in a row in the INEP Plus platform, but it's not too difficult to go in the way it was presented by the Andean University. Mandatory courses for some kind of local certification was lecture 1, 2, and 3. complementing of further introduction, substance use epidemiology and problem population, prevention science, and evidence-based prevention, intervention, and policy. And then mandatory, the lecture 11, research methods, and the lecture 10, monitoring and evaluation. And this makes a lot of sense to the facilitator, to the researchers, in this case, the Peruvian researchers, because it resembles exactly what is recommended in the universal prevention curriculum to go to further training for the specialists, for the implementers. They asked in the implementer series of the universal prevention curriculum is asked to complete 3 basic courses that are basically prevention science, physiology and pharmacology, and monitoring, and then they can go to the specific training in a particular area. So they resembled pretty closely that kind of figure, so we didn't saw any other chance. And in the mind of the university professor, it was that this elective could be linked to the particular research area that the student could be interested in conducting. So this is the this was the way in which was presented the INEP Plus to the authorities of the university for its approval. And its approval was conditional to adapt to the document to the format approved by the Andean University of Cusco. They have particular ways to present the modules or the courses like syllabus, and they ask it, they have to be in the way they used to present their courses. Ensure that the subject contributes to competencies included in the graduation profile approved by the vocational school, while also selecting the respective performance indicators. Expand the proposal by including evaluation techniques and instruments to monitor the achievement of learning outcomes. Integrate activities into the content development process, specify the methodology and indicate the mode of delivery for the course. Assess the feasibility of obtaining external certification of the course. The last one was really important because when we offered this INEP Plus training openly, the offer was to have the certification of the Charles University for 3 European credit transfer credit hours. That was really very attractive for many people. So in the side of internalization, this was an important condition that put us at the university. This was conducted by Dr. Gareth del Castillo, and as the actual head of the Department of Psychology in the Andean University in Cusco, and the INEP Plus approval was already. However, there is an outstanding challenge. As you remember, at this moment, the platform for INEP Plus are in the Charles University and in the ISOP. And after the course was approved, there was a lack of clarity regarding the terms and conditions for using the INEP platform, whether directly in agreement with Charles University or through ISOP. It is important to focus on resolving this matter collaboratively and constructively, especially because this has to be with the access of the trainers of the universities to the platform of any one of the platforms for the follow-up of the students, to see how they are developing the course. And also, in the particular case of the Andean University in Cusco, how to include the 11th module in research methods. Yes, as part of the INEP, particularly for Cusco, or as a separate course, that they can deliver in their own platform, etc. So I hope to have give you an idea on how to transfer the INEP into the university system. Let me say that at this moment, Dr. Avalos and I are concluding a project that we conducted in Paraguay to train about 800 people as implementers and 60 other people, uh, 30 of them as technicians for in monitoring and evaluation of prevention implementation, and others in alternatives for incarceration. And we discussed about the use of INEP for this kind of thing, and we didn't find any problem with this. But this challenge, outstanding challenge, was present. So we have to adapt this in other ways. And I think that the need for the universities, for the university to have the INEP Plus as an introductory course, a propedeutic course, and presentation course of the strengths of the university in the prevention area is real. And also the need that may have many other people that are linked to the local universities and take with them the INEP Plus. Thank you so much. This is Machu Picchu, the capital, one of the sacred cities of the Inca Empire. It's one place for tourists. That's, as I said, it's very nice to meet with many people from around the world, but also comes for some difficulties related to substance use. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fernando Salazar. Let's proceed now to question and answer portion of our presentation. If there are any one of you who have questions, please use the chat box. I'll begin with a question in terms of further implementation of INEP. So are we still in the piloting phase, or is there a plan for future expansions?
We are in the crossroads at this moment. We
Okay.
are ready for the implementation and expansion.
Okay.
But we need so we have to know with who we have to talk just to use the platform. That is the most important barrier at this moment. Resolve that, life is going to be very easy. I am really very enthusiastic about using the INEP Plus. It's really nice. It's a very nice course.
Thank you for that. And I guess like during your presentation, you have highlighted the fact that well, similar to other training curricula that's being offered, this is not something that you just do one time, right? So it involves meticulous planning and organization in terms of curriculum development. So my question is regarding the mandatory training that you provided. How long did it take before the faculty members were able to complete the mandatory training?
Actually, all the training in the INEP Plus, after that they proposed it, I think, was conducted in 3 months.
3 months.
3 months. We were following the indication of the INEP Plus that 3 months is good enough, just to know to be not in a rush and just to not to forget with some lengths of waiting between the sessions. So I don't have a real measure of how many times could take the mandatory course, but could be 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I'm talking about the mandatory courses in the INEP Plus. If we took this in a different way than the universal prevention curriculum, is going to take longer time.
So it involves like commitment to the resources, the time of the participants, right? Because it's not something that you just do for a day or even a week. You also mentioned about the importance of well, there are two things that most people would actually think this is one and the same. Like you mentioned about translation, and then the other one is local adaptation. So how important it was this in the setting of Peru?
I guess that was very important. And culturally, especially Cusco is a place in which they recognize themselves as unique person. And if they don't see that kind of figures in their local environment, seems that it's not easy to appropriate the ideas or even the course. So, as you know, the cultural adaptation is a key issue for anything. And in Cusco, it's particularly difficult. I guess that in other places are not going to be as strong as it is there. And of course, this has to go together with fidelity. Um, and we have to be clear about that. The evaluation of the INEP Plus was conducted very strongly, as you will see with Roman and Irina next to it. And if you follow exactly that's what is doing the INEP Plus, you will have good results. I'm just saying something that I shouldn't say. I'm taking the surprise, but everybody that here is thinking that INEP Plus is really good. So we have to follow that, but that local and cultural adaptation is just figures about the local statistics about substance use, local substances that are being used, local language in relation with substance use, patterns of use, etc. That's all.
Okay, so it's important to have culturally relevant example, but at the same time trying to find the balance between maintaining the fidelity of the materials, right?
Yeah, that's key.
Yeah. And then you also mentioned, well, this is something that we know that the INAP, the one that your group did, your team did, is for school-based prevention. And as you are aware of, when we talked about prevention science, there's a lot of misconception. So what do you think is like the important reminders for faculty members who are trying to do prevention programs?
This is something that we discussed a lot. For using prevention science, we have to be clear that we are moving people from their area of comfort, doing the best thing that they can do with intuition in prevention, and they have to leave that in one side and start using prevention science. And in prevention science, we could differentiate some areas. What is the prevention science itself? To understand really what is this, that is really is very basic to understand the etiology model. And the theory that accompany the etiology model. Then we need to understand what is the implementation process based on the implementation cycle. And then how to follow up the international quality standard of UNODC. If you don't do these three things, you will miss something very important. We conducted that, we discussed that thing in many moments during the facilitation, and in some other moments in which the people was just trying to go directly to the field to implement for the implementation. We said, you don't have all the training for as implemented. You have very good idea, but you have to go into a particular training for being an implementer. So we have to highlight that simple because the people is really very excited after taking the course and they think that they can go directly to the field. And INEP Plus is a very big picture of what we can do in different areas, but the specifics needs to be learned practice it just to take this to the field. And of course, the angular stone in this thing is prevention must be participatory, cannot be prescriptive.
Okay, thank you for that. So I think I have to highlight what you mentioned, that great intention does not necessarily translate to good results, especially if we don't have adequate training, because the field of prevention has been, there's a lot of myth and misconception, and we are trying to move forward through more evidence-based practices.
Yeah. Agustin wants to participate in next training on INEP Plus. Yes, that is something that I feel that the people likes to do even after they are reading the European Universal Prevention Curriculum, the short version. You can start with that until you can register in the ISO platform and also other courses that may be in place at this moment. I'm happy to know that you can go, you want to go to INEP Plus. You will enjoy that.
Yeah. So so INEP Plus training is accessible in other different platforms. Try to check it. Charles University has it, and it might also be in ISAP. But as Dr. Salazar mentioned, so the training, you have to invest your time and commitment, because it's gonna take some time, right? So I think like my last question would be relevant to its application. A lot of people are hesitant to implement projects in terms of prevention, the actual real prevention science, because they are thinking that this is something that can be done quickly. So, in terms, or it could actually be more expensive. But can you give the context? Like Peru is also a middle income country, right? So, in terms of resources, how intensive it is to implement a prevention program?
Uh, at this moment, we're finding that we can do this based on some local resources. Let's say working hours of school teachers, some external allies like some organization like Lions Quest, that is it's a academic program. So I think that at this moment, the most costly part that we don't have access to that is the face-to-face training, because needs transportation, local food, printed materials, and that's costly. So implementation of a course like the INET Plus that is online is going to be, let me say, is going to have a very low cost, very affordable. And most of the cost is the time of each one of the participants and also the time of the facilitator. But if we can conduct this in 3 months with meetings every week or every 2 weeks, it's not going to be nothing that is going to cost too much. Actually, some of the university professor can do that facilitation and also their own training based in their own academic hours, because we have some hours left that we can present as part of our work.
Okay, thank you. So technology is our ally in terms of making the materials accessible and more cost efficient, as opposed to face-to-face training. So of course, all of these different methodologies and platforms have their own advantages and disadvantages, but I'd like what you said in terms of this is possible even in countries with low resources. as long as you work in partnership with what's available in your community, such as local organizations, NGOs, and aside from the universities or school setting. And that's also what we try to advocate, networking and collaboration and partnership, similar to aligned with ICUDDR principles. So I guess that is the last question. So thank you so much, Fernando. We really appreciate you taking your time with and sharing the experience of the prevention training, especially in Peru. And for all of you who's here, we would like to invite you to join us next week on April 16 for a webinar update on the Center for Credentialing and Accreditation. So we know that there's a lot of questions with regards to making sure that we have um, professional accreditation, trying to provide competent services to our clients. And we're also excited to announce that in a few months, we will be launching our membership plus to accommodate a lot of membership requests from people who are not from the university. So we thank our audience for joining us, and please join us and continue to support ICDDR in all of our activities. And again, to our board member, Fernando, thank you so much, and we are happy to have you here. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for attendance, and greetings to my friend Joel Salinas. Nice to see you in this play. Thank you so much.
There's actually a lot of people here that we are familiar with, so thank you for being here. Have a
Okay.
great day, everyone. Good night for people in Asia. Bye.
Bye-bye.